Unfamiliar, they rely on definitions. All definitions attempt to explain or clarify a term. In mathematics, a definition is used to give a precise meaning to a new term by describing a condition that unambiguously qualifies what a mathematical term is and it is not. Definitions and axioms form the basics on which all of modern mathematics is to be constructed. A statement or a proposition which is regarded as being established, accepted, or self-evidently true is known as axiom. So a definition is made up of two parts. Okay, define and term. Term which is used to be defined. A word, a phrase, or symbol which is the subject of a definition, especially in a dictionary entry or which is introduced into a logical system by being defined. Definand. A definand, words used to define a term. A term which is to be defined is defined term. Words used to define a term is definand. Okay. So we have types of definitions. First one, formal definition. Okay. Such as we see in dictionary. Okay. It is the definition which we generally see in dictionary for a book describing some particular characteristics of a concept or things or phenomena. Such characteristics are used to familiarize the reader with unknown terms. For example, we have examples here. The formal definition is based upon a concise, logical pattern that includes as much information as it can within a minimum amount of space. Formal sentences components are the term being defined, the class it is belonged to, and it is distinguishing characteristics. Okay, so what we see in a dictionary or a book that describes characteristics of anything, that is formal definition. Then informal definition. Sometimes a known word in the form of antonyms and synonyms can be used for explaining something unknown. Such definitions are introduced by like, also known as, or in other words, aka also known as. Extra, these are used to familiarize a lesson on term with any other well-known related term. To say like we have examples like having a relaxed, friendly, or unofficial style, manner, or nature. Informal language is more casual and spontaneous. It is used when communicating with friends or family, either in writing or in conversation. So we can say like H2O. Okay, H2O, also known as water. Here, formal definition is H2O. Informal definition is water. Sometimes water is the informal definition. Okay, H2O is a character. H2O is a combination of hydrogen particles and oxygen particles, which is called as water. So H2O, also known as water. H2O, in other words, water. So it is an informal definition. So we use something to describe the characteristics. We use something to make it unknown to a known. So we use something known words to explain unknown words. That is informal definition. Extended definition is one or more paragraph that attempt to explain a complex term. Some terms may be so important in your report that there may be so much confusion about them, or they may be also difficult to understand that to an extent discussion is vital for a success of your report. The extended definition can be formal or informal. As the name suggests, these are used for explanation by including examples of listing familiar points, explaining concepts, historical references, and more. Okay, for example, in a report on new treatment for anemia, like cell anemia, you will need a selection defining the disease. Okay. So what we have is a report on new treatments for sickle cell anemia. So now we have to add a section for disease. Okay. Then in a report on benefits of drip irrigation, you will need to write an extended definition of drip irrigation, explaining how it works and what equipment is used. A report showing small businesses how to weather economic recessions. An extended definition of the term economic recession would be needed first. So basically, you have an example. Then one of the first things to do when you write an extended definition is to compose the formal sentence definition of a term you are writing about. Place it towards the beginning. It establishes the focus for the rest of the discussion. It's formal because it uses certain forms. So in extended definition, what we are using is examples, and each words, each concept needs to be explained further. Okay, that is extended definitions. So we have a definition. To understand the definition, we are adding examples, supporting statements to make a strong definition. Then lexical definition related to the words or vocabulary of a language. Related to the words or vocabulary of a language. The lexical definition, also known as directory definition, is the closely matching the meaning of the term in common usage. It's also known as reporting definition. According to Oxford English Dictionary, lexical means relating to the words or vocabulary of a language. Thus, the lexical definition related to a word's dictionary meaning in the common vocabulary of a language. It shows how the term is used in a language. It is difficult to change. Lexical meanings are denotative meanings. Here, connotative and denotative meanings. There are two meanings, connotative and denotative. Like I would say that home, when I say home is a in denotative meaning is like a place, a location, longitude, latitude, area, district, that is home in denotative meaning. Connotative meaning is like a place where a place where I can happy. That called as a home. It's subject to psychological things instead of physical things. The home is a place where humans lives. That is denotative meaning. A home is a place where I felt happy, where someone felt happy, is connotative meaning. Lexical meanings cannot be changed. It is used to avoid ambiguity. It should be universal, never supporting any positive or negative aspects. As its other name implies, this is the sort of definition one is likely to find in the dictionary. A lexical definition is usually the type expected from a request for definition, and it is generally expected that such definition will be stated as simply as possible in order to convey information to the widest audience. The definition which reports the meaning of a word or a phrase as it actually used by people is called lexical definition. Meaning of words given in a dictionary or lexical definition. A word may have more than one meaning. It may also have more than one lexical definition. Lexical definitions are either true or false. If the definitions is the same as the actual use of the word, then it is true. Otherwise, it is false. Then stipulative definition. Okay. It's a type of definition which is a new or currently existing term is given a new specific meaning for the purpose of argument or discussion. Okay, a new or using we explaining using currently existing term. Okay, when the term already exists, this definition may but does not necessarily contradict the dictionary definition of the term. It is the new meaning given to an already existing term and meaning assigned to a new term. It is arbitrary in nature. A term can have different stipulative meaning at different places or among different people. For example, LOL for lots of love, and LOL is also same for laughing out loud. Okay. Some people use LOL for lots of love, and some people use it for laughing out loud. Idioms and slangs have stipulative meanings. The terms to prove stipulative definition is sometimes used to make deliberately misleading definitions. It is easy to change as it has meaning in local language. When the stability of definition of a term, that particular farmer may get involved in the dictionary and becomes a lexical definition. For example, suppose we say that to love someone is to be willing to die for that person. Okay. So, okay, we love someone, we say that I would die for you, meaning that it's actually love. Take human to mean any member of the species Homo sapiens. Okay. For the purpose of argument, we will define a student to be a person under 18 enrolled in a local school. Here, a student is a word. Now, what we say is as a stipulative, as a local term, we can say that whoever is person 18 and who is enrolled in a school called as a student. Okay. Then persuasive definition. Such definitions favor a particular view or a favor of any view, but are presented in neutral form. In such definitions, emotional, positive, or drudgery meaning is attached to the term. The term persuasive definition was introduced by philosopher Charles Stevenson as part of his emotive theory of meaning. It is usually used in discussions, debate to favor or unfavor particular views. For example, there can be different views on death penalty. Those who are in favor will define it as a harsh punishment, which will help in preventing crimes, and those who are not in favor will define it as a legalized murder. Okay, death penalty. Someone will say that it's that someone will define it as a harsh punishment. Someone will define this as a legalized murder. A persuasive definition is a form of stipulative definition which supports to describe the true or commonly accepted meaning of a term, while in reality stipulating an uncommon or altered use, usually to support an argument for some view or to create or alter rights, duties, or crimes. Examples, uh, fallacies, logical fallacies, we'll see. Examples of persuasive definitions include Democrat. A leftist, Democrat means democracy. Democrat is a person who believes in democracy, a person who believes in elections. A leftist who desires to overtax the corporations and abolish freedom in the economic sphere. Okay. That's stipulative. Okay, Democrat is a word, and we use terms such as okay, by democracy we mean that overtax of corporations. So that now we have tax. So we have tax after even for used cars. If we sell if we buy the used cars, again we have to pay taxes. Okay, that's persuasive definitions commonly appear in controversial topics such as politics, sex, and religion, as participants in emotionally charged exchanges will sometimes become more concerned about swaying people to one side or another than expressing the unbiased effects. Then parenthetical definition. Parenthetical definition. Sometimes Just for explanation, we write the meaning of some words in parentheses in a sentence. Meaning of a difficult word mentioned in a few words in parentheses is known as parenthetical definitions. Sometimes to understand better difficult words, we write easy words or meaning in brackets are called parenthetical meaning. For example, to understand meanings of arbitrariness, we write in bracket to choose randomly or by chance. Whatever we write in bracket for own understanding are called parenthetical definition. Parenthetical phrase is an explanatory or qualifying word, class, or sentence inserted into a passage. The parentheses would be left out and still form grammatical correct text. Parentheses are usually marked off by round or square bracket, dashes, or commas. Okay, so just Billy Bob, a great singer, was not a great good dancer. The phrase great singer set off by commas in both an oppositive and parenthesis. A dog, so you can see, not a cat, is an animal that barks. The phrase not a cat is parenthesis. My umbrella, which is somewhat broken, can still shield the two of us from the rain. The phrase, which is somewhat broken, is in the parentheses. Okay, here umbrella is a subject. So umbrella is a subject that we need to define, which is actually broken. So we quote that. Following are examples, types of parentheses phrases, introductory phrases, once upon a time, comma, my father ate a muffin. Intersection, my father ate the muffin, God damn it, God damn it. Aside, my father, if you don't mind me telling you this, ate the muffin. Oppositive, my father, a jaded and bitter man, ate the muffin. Absolute phrase, my father, his eyes flashing with rage, ate the muffin. Free modifier, my father, chewing with unbridled fury, ate the muffin. Okay. 1 second, please. சொல்லு இரு ஒரு நிமிஷம். Dear students, greeting from IEC announcing Udyog's opening also a launchpad for startup with new ideas. அந்த சப்மிட் பயான் இருக்குல்ல, அந்த மூணாவது பாயிண்ட் கண்டிஷன்ஸ்ல அதை தூக்கிடு. சப்மிட் பயான் போட்டா அவங்க நேரம் போயிட போறாங்க. அது நான் பண்ணணும். அதை எடுத்துரு. அதுக்கு பதிலா வந்து ஈவென்ட் டேட் வந்து 16 ஜனவரின்னு போட்டிருக்காங்க அங்க. ஓகே, நம்ம இவர்கிட்ட கேட்டுக்க, சார்ட்ட கேட்டுக்க, ஒரு ஈவென்ட் நடத்துறதுக்கு ஒரு டேட்டு இவர்கிட்ட திலீப் சார்ட்ட கேட்டு. 31 நாமினேஷன்னா அதுக்கு அவன் எல்லாத்தையும் கொண்டு வரணும். 29 போடலாம்ல. ஆமா, அதெல்லாம் ரெடி பண்ணி அவன் நாமினேட் பண்ணணும். அவன் வந்து சப்மிட் பண்ணணும், அதுக்கப்புறம் நாமினேட் பண்ணணும். சார்ட்ட ஒரு நாள் முன்னாடியே டேட்டு கேட்டு, 2 நாள் முன்னாடியே நீ அவர் பார்த்து சொல்லு எது ஓகேன்னு. இல்லையா, ரைட், ஓகே. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 சண்டே. 28 ஒர்க்கிங் டேயா? 28 ஒர்க்கிங் டே தானே? ஒர்க்கிங் டே போட்டு எது? ஓ, காலை திருவிழா. அப்போ 30 தான் போட்டு. 30 அன்னைக்கு போட்டுரு. ஆமா, பிச்சிங் நாமினேஷன் டெட்லைன்ஸ் வந்து அன்னைக்கே வந்து சப்மிட் பண்ணணும். 30ஆம் தேதியே வந்து ஈவெண்ட் 31ஆம் தேதி சப்மிட் பண்ணிடணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லணும். ஆமா, 31 சப்மிட் பண்ணிடணும். நம்ம சப்மிட் பண்ணணும். 30ஆம் தேதியே ஸ்டூடெண்ட் சப்மிட் பண்ணணும். 31 நம்ம நாமினேட் பண்ணணும். ஈவென்ட் நடத்தின அன்னைக்கே சப்மிட் பண்ணிடணும். ரைட், அவ்வளவுதான். ரைட், ஈவெண்ட் வந்து பிச்சிங் ஐடியா பிச்சிங் டேட்னு போட்டுரு. அதுக்கு ஈவெண்ட் லொகேஷன் வில் பி அனௌன்ஸ்ட் லேட்டர்னு போட்டு நம்ம போட்டுக்கோ. 30ஆம் தேதி காலேஜ்ல பிச்சிங் ஈவெண்ட் இருக்கு. ஐடியா பிச்சிங் ஈவெண்ட். ஆமா, ஈவெண்ட் டேட் 30னே போட்டுரு, நீ அந்த நாமினேஷன்லாம் விட்டுரு. சரியா? ம். அதெல்லாம் விட்டுரு, நம்ம தான் நாமினேட் பண்ணணும். Location will be announced later. 30th event, idea pitching event 30. They have to submit, student have to submit அந்த இதுல கேட்டிருக்கும் பாரு, பிசினஸ் மாடல் கேன்வாஸ் ரிப்போர்ட் எல்லாமே சப்மிட் பண்ணணும் அன்னைக்கு. அதுல இருக்கும் பாரு, நான் அனுப்பிச்ச மெசேஜ்ல இருக்கும். இல்லாட்டி நம்ம அதை அப்புறம் போட்டுக்கலாம். ஆமா, ஆமா, ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் ஃபார்ம் உடனே நாங்க லிங்க் அனுப்புறோம்னு சொல்லு. அதையும் போட்டு ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் ஃபார்ம் இதுல போடலாமா இல்ல டக்குன்னு கிரியேட் பண்ணிடுறியா? ரைட், ஓகே. சரி, பண்ணி. ம். ஆ ஆமா, பிசினஸ் மாடல். அதுல வந்து பிசினஸ் மாடல் அப்படிங்கிறது பிசினஸ் மாடல் கேன்வாஸ். சரியா? என்னென்ன போட்டிருக்கா? ஸ்ரீநகர், கோயம்புத்தூர். ஓகே, அது வந்து ஐடியா தான், பிசினஸ் மாடல் ஆர் ஸ்டார்ட் அப். அது நேரம் எங்க போகும்? இந்த யுக்தி போர்ட்டலுக்கு போகும். யுக்தி போர்ட்டல் போகும். நீ யுக்தி போர்ட்டல் ஓபன் பண்ணினா அதுல இருக்கும், காமிக்கும் ஐடியா சப்மிஷன் அப்படின்னு காட்டும். ம். ரைட், இரு. கைட்லைன் ஃபார் சப்மிஷன் போட்டியா? Guidelines for submission, students innovator need to submit their idea model prototype in ICTI Innovation Repository on or before 27/12. ஓகே, போட்டுரு. ஓகே. 27, 28 வரைக்கும் கொடுத்துரு. சாட்டர்டே சண்டே வரைக்கும் இருக்கட்டும் டைம். ஆமா, 30 அன்னைக்கு அவன் ஐடியா பிச் பண்ணணும். 28க்குள்ள நமக்கு அந்த யுக்தி போர்ட்டலுக்குள்ள வந்துடும். யுக்தி போர்ட்டல்ல போனா ஐஐசி ஐடி வேற கேட்கும். இரு, அந்த ஐஐசி ஐடி பாஸ்வேர்டு கொடுக்குறேன், அதை இது பார்த்துக்க. ஐஐசி ஐடி இரு, ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷனுக்கு ஐஐசி ஐடி தரேன், இரு. அப்படியே போட்டுரு, விட்டுரு. அவ்வளவுதான். ஓகேயா? எயிட் ஒன் டூ ஃபோர் 170 479. ஐஎஸ்சி ஐடி போடுறியா? சரி, சைன் வாங்கிரு, நம்ம இதுல எல்லாத்தையும் போட்டுக்கலாம். சரி. அவ்வளவுதான். ஆமா, சரியா? போட்டு விட்டுரு, இதெல்லாம் பாத்துக்க. சரி, வச்சிடுறேன். Okay, sorry for the delay. Okay. These are all, we can say that parenthetical definitions, either used in comma and in the parentheses. Then sentence definition. Some definitions are given in sentence forms, like computer is an electric machine used to store, process, and retrieve data. Here, the first part of definition is computer, the term itself, the next part. Okay, the computer, the term itself, is a definition. The next part, electronic machine, shows what it is. Then the last part depicts the function of the computer. Computer, by using it is an electric machine and it is used to store and retrieve data. So these are sentence definition. Within a sentence, we are defining computer as an electronic machine, and it is also it is used to store, process, and retrieve data. So what it is? The definition here is computer. Okay. So the definition in the form of sentence. Sentence is a set of words that is complete in itself, typically containing a subject and predicate, conveying a statement, a question or explanation or command, and consisting of a main class and sometimes one or more subordinate classes. The sentence is generally defined as a word or group of words that express a thorough idea by giving a sentence or order. Then intension definition. Such definitions specify the properties, features, meanings, and the necessary and sufficient conditions of a term. For example, even numbers are the numbers divided by 2, okay, which is specify the properties, what is the necessities, sufficient condition. Okay, what we are defining is even numbers. Sufficient condition is numbers divided by 0. Any number that is divided by 0 is a even number. Okay, what we are saying is condition. Okay, then ostensive definition. Literal meaning of ostensive is denoting a way of defining it by direct demonstration. For example, pointing. Okay. The term is described by showing the real objects. For example, showing banana, tulips, mangoes to describe the yellow color. So the defining word is yellow. So in description, in definition, we are using denotative. An ostensive definition conveys the meaning of a term by pointing out examples. This type of definition is often used where the term is difficult to define verbally, either because the words will not be understood by the children and new speakers of a language, or because the nature of the term, such as colors or sensations, are also jargon terms. It is usually accompanied with a gesture pointing to the object serving as an example, and for the reason this is often referred to as direction by pointing. So ostensive definition also known as definition by pointing. An ostensive definition assumes the questionnaire has sufficient understand to recognize the type of information given. Now we have seen this major term, middle term, subject, head to everything in Indian logic. Now we need to understand through categorical propositions. Okay, a subject of a sentence is the thing that has say some property or class is being attributed to the predicate. It is the property or a class that is being attributed to the subject, and the copula is the word that links the two together. So major term subject, middle term copula, minor term predicate. So in simple words, a proposition that relates two classes or categories is known as categorical proposition. We knew it, okay. Quantifiers, we know that all, no, some, all. Universal quantifier, universal positive, universal negative, particular positive, particular negative. Okay. All dogs are mammals, universal positive. No dogs are reptiles, universal negative. Some dogs are cute. This is particular positive. Some dogs are not potty trained, particular negative. Okay. All SRP, no SR, all SRP, universal positive. No SRP, universal negative. Some SRP, particular positive. Some S are not P, universal, sorry, particular negative. That quantity here, this all, no, some. Okay, those are quantity. Refers to how much the subject class is included in the predicate class. Here subject is S, predicate is P. Okay, now we know quality, then quantity. Quantity is either universal or particular. Okay, the quality is all, no, some. Okay, here universal tells us about something, how all the subjects are related to the universal predicate. Particular tells us how some of the objects are related to the predicate. Quality refers to whether the proposition is affirming something or denying something. Whether it is affirming, it is not. Quality is either affirmative, members of the subject are included, and negative members of the subject are not included. So quantity means all, no, some. Quality is either are or not. Here I can say that all SRP, quality is all, and quantity is R, ARE, R. All P's are, all S are. Here you can say all yes or not. This is quality. Okay. Inuit AEIOU. Okay. Here we can say all SRP, quantity universal, quality affirmative, positive. And A is a letter we use in the square of opposition. No SRP, universal quantity, quality is negative. You can say negative. No SRP, negative. Some SRP, quantity, particular, quality is affirmative, positive. Some S are not P, quantity, particular, quality, negative. Okay. We can easily skip this. Okay. Okay, syllogism. An argument consists of three statements, two premises and one conclusion. A categorical syllogism consisting of three categorical propositions and containing three distinct terms. Okay. So what are these three terms mentioned here? All mammals are creatures that have hair. All dogs are mammals, therefore dogs are creatures that have hair. Here the three different terms, arguments, besides the quantifiers and the coupler, the three different terms are called major terms, minor terms, and middle term. Okay, notice that conclusion only contains two or three terms, but one of the term is found only in the premises here. Okay. Here are some definitions. Major term, the predicate term of the conclusion. The predicate term of the conclusion. So any, what I say, a major term should be a part of conclusion. Okay. So above creatures that have hair is the major term. We can simply say that a term which is participated in conclusion is a major term. Okay. And also we can say that predicate conclusion. The subject term of the conclusion is a minor term. Here it is dogs. Here in the conclusion, the subject is a minor term. Conclusion predicate is a major term. Middle term that does not appear in the conclusion. That does not appear in the conclusion. Okay. So your conclusion will have major term and minor term. In conclusion, which is predicate is the major term. The subject is a minor term. The middle term is not taking part in conclusion. So whichever is not in conclusion, that is middle term. Okay. 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 Here statement first is also known as premises 1, all A or B. Statement 2 is also known as premises 2. The above statement B is the middle term, which is also known as cancelling term. Here B is not available in the conclusion. And in Indian logic, also known as hetu. Middle term also known as cancelling term because it is not going to be take part in conclusion. In the above statement, A is a minor term, C is a major term. You can see in conclusion, we have a predicate, that is major term. C is a major term, A is a subject. You can see B is not here. B is a middle term here, which is not being part in the conclusion. Major term, right. The term in a syllogism, that syllogism is the predicate of the conclusion, is known as a major term. You should always check the conclusion for major term. For example, in above statement, the conclusion is all A or C. So the last term in the conclusion is in the C is a major term. Okay. If the conclusion is all parrots are green, then green is a major term. No apple is good. In the above statement, good is your major term. Second word of your conclusion is always your major term. Second word of your conclusion here is always a major term. This one. Minor term in syllogism, that is subject of the conclusion is known as minor term. It is known as the subject. You always should look into the conclusion to find out minor term. Remember, major term was the last term of conclusion, but minor term is the first term of the conclusion. The minor term is also known as paksha in Indian logic. Remember, it is in increasing order, that is go from small to big. In the above given statement, our conclusion is all A's are C. So in the statement, A is a minor term because A is the first term in the conclusion. Okay. Examples here. No blackboard is green. Here, minor term conclusion. Minor term is blackboard. First term that appears in the conclusion. Then major term is green. Last word, predicate. Okay. Here some bread is better. Butter. Butter is a major term. Bread is a minor term. Middle term is a term that appears in both premises but not in conclusion. Middle term is not will be available in the conclusion. This is also known as cancelling term, and Indian logic is known as head to or reason. Okay, so we can say that major term is called as sadhya. Okay, sadhya. Minor term is called as paksha, and then middle term called as head to. To find out which one is middle term, you always should look into premises. Middle term never appears in the conclusion. The term which is present in both premises is called middle term. The middle term present in both statements are called middle term. Here, some breads are milk, some milk is butter. So milk is a middle term. You can say that milk is not here in conclusion, and milk is available in both statement 1 and 2. So milk is a middle term. In this given statement, milk is the mutual word available in both statements. So milk is our middle term. We can say that milk is not present in the conclusion. Okay. So those are important to understand major term, middle term, and minor term. We have seen in Indian logic, but we didn't see in inductive deductive reasoning. Then logical fallacies, important one. Fallacies are errors in arguments that deceive our minds. It is a defect in an argument that consists of something other than merely false premises. Fallacies can be committed in many ways, but usually they involve either a mistake in reasoning or the creation of some illusion that makes a bad argument appear good or bad either. An argument is valid when the truth of the premises guarantees the truth of the conclusion. The process that gives no rational grounds for accepting the conclusion is a defective form of argument known as fallacy. Fallacies can be used positively to avoid or expose error, or they can be used for negative means to deceive. Ethos is an argument that appeals to ethical authority or credibility. Pathos is an argument that appeals to emotions. Fallacies are usually divided into two groups, either formal or informal groups. Formal fallacy may be identified through mere inspection of the form of structure or argument. In the case of formal fallacies, the conclusion does not follow from either given premises or proposition. The relation depicted in such an argument is not valid and supported by given premises. Formal fallacies can be the result of poor logic. Informal fallacies, error in structure. Informal fallacies are the result of wrong information, assumption, misuse of language, lack of evidence, or wrong analogy. Informal fallacies are a form of incorrect argument in natural language. In this, unlike formal fallacies, the source of error is not just due to their form, but it can also lie in the context and context. Okay. Different type of informal fallacies include ad ignore ad ignorant ad ignore ad ignorantium ad ignorantium. It is an appeal to ignorance. This fallacy is usually committed by us because of ignorance of the truth. We tend to commit this fallacy because it is not proven by anyone till now. For example, Shyam said to Mohan that he does not believe in God. When Mohan asked him to reason, he said, because science failed to give any valid proof of the existence of God. Here we can simply say that Mohan has committed the fallacy of ad ignorantium. We are ignorant of something. That does not mean it is not possible. Maybe in the coming future, science will prove the existence of God. So ignorance is ad ignorantium. I personally don't like that. Ad populum. Proposition which we accept just because everyone else is accepting the same thing. If everyone is doing one thing, it does not guarantee the rightness of that thing. For example, if everybody is driving the car at 200 km per hour speed, that does not mean it is legal to drive a car at this speed. It will be considered as wrong. So ad populum basically means it is wrong, but everyone is doing it. Just because everyone is doing it doesn't mean it is wrong. It is right. Okay. Ad vernaculantum. Sorry. Verculantum. Ad vercundum. Ad vercundum, I think. This is also called appeal to authority, accepting something because it is coming from some authority. Okay. For example, if Deepika Padukone says the secret of her beauty is Lux, that does not ensure that all that using Lux will surely have the same beauty to everyone. In this fallacy, we do not apply any kind of logic. We blindly follow some authority without giving any logic. Okay, we just follow whatever it is like Instagram, anything. Okay, that add very kundam. Okay. Hasty generalization fallacy, also known as converse accident. Coming to a conclusion without any evidence or drawing conclusion from incomplete information is hasty generalization. Hasty generalization is a policy that affects inductive generalizations. The policy occurs when there is a reasonable likelihood that the sample is not representative of the group. Such a likelihood may arise if the sample is either too small or not when only selected. Then strawman policy. When you know the other person is right and you don't have the logical counter argument to fight, but to make sure that you always have an upper hand, you create a whole new scenario just to win an argument is called strawman fallacy. The strawman fallacy is committed when an arguer distorts an opponent's argument for merely easily attacking it, demolishes the distorted argument, and then concludes that the opponent's real argument has been demolished. By doing so, the argument is said to have set up a straw man and knocked it down, only to conclude that real man has been knocked down as well. For example, Mr. Goldberg has argued against prayer in public school. Mr. Goldberg advocates atheism, but atheism is what they used to have in Russia. Atheism leads to the suppression of all religions and the replacement of God by an omnipotent state. Is that what we want for this country? Okay. As this example illustrates the kind of distortion the second arguer distorts to it often an attempt to exaggerate the first person's argument or make it look more extreme than it is. So here, then red herring fallacy, also deliberate diversion. This fallacy is closely associated with missing the point. The arguer diverts the attention of the reader or listener by changing the subject to a different but subtly related one. To use the red herring fallacy effectively, the arguer must change the original subject of the argument without the reader or listener noticing. For example, here between conversation between a boy and mom, that boy asks mother that I want that toy. Mother says that let's go home. Yummy food is waiting for. Okay, mother here change the entire topic deliberately without even answering. So when we change subject without even the arguer, without even another one is noticing it, that is the making a diversion from conversation is red herring fallacy. Then arguments against the person. not the point, but the person. Augmentum ad hominem. Augmentum ad hominem. This fallacy always involves two arguments. One of them advances either directly or implicitly a certain argument, and the other a response by directing his or her attention not to first person argument but the first person himself. For example, if a politician is speaking well and giving a brilliant speech with logical reason, another politician who does not have anything to say in opposition says, "You can't control the nation. Your daughter eloped with someone else." Okay. So there are two politicians. One politician is arguing, giving a brilliant speech and giving points, progressive, which leads to progressive nation, and another party leader which have no points to explain. He just attacks a person instead of point. Okay, hate the hate the idea, not the person. Okay, this is clearly attacking personality. Okay, second example, you cannot come first in class because you are ugly. Okay, here we can see that coming first or last in class has nothing to do with being ugly or beautiful, but the opponent has nothing to say against his intelligence, so he attacks personally. So any personal attacks without in during argument, during a conversation, if someone wants to, if someone have no points or no intelligent thoughts to say, then instead of counteracting, instead of counterpointing, if he attacks a person, then it is called as augmentum ad hominem. Then mixing the point, ignoratio elanchi. Ignoratio elanchi. The arguer is ignorant of the logical implication of his or her premises and as a result draws conclusion that misses the point entirely. For example, crime of theft and robbery have been increasing at an alarming rate lately. The conclusion obvious, we must reinstate the death penalty immediately. So here in the above statement, at least two correct conclusions are implied by the premises of the first argument. One, either we should provide increased police protection in vulnerable neighborhoods. Two, we should intimate programs. We could initiate programs to eliminate the causes of crimes. So instead of making these two progressive conclusions, someone may draw a conclusion that crimes and robbery are increasing, so we have to reinstate the death penalty law. Okay, so which is actually just missing the point that it does not going to control anything. Reinstating the death penalty is not a logical conclusion at all. Among the other things, theft and robbery are not capital crimes. Complex questions. When someone invites two or three questions in one single question. The fallacy of complex questions is committed when in a single question, more questions are asked and a single answer is then applied to both questions. When the respondent's answers are added to the complex questions, an argument emerges that establishes presumed conditions. This argument is usually intended to trap the respondent into acknowledging something that he or she might otherwise not want to acknowledge. So, for example, someone can say that, have you stopped cheating on exams? Okay, the question is, have you stopped cheating on exams? Okay, if either if he answers yes, if he answers yes, then he committed to his previous, he admitted that he previously cheated exams. If he said no, then he is committing that he is still cheating in exams. Okay, so both the answers will lead the respondent into guilt. Therefore, it follows that both, if it is yes, then he cheated in the past. If it is saying no, he is still cheating in the exam. Maybe he is not cheating. Maybe he is not cheating. But the question is, Have you stopped cheating on exam? Which claims that he is cheated in previous scenarios. Okay, those are fallacies. Importance, complex questions, missing the point, arg- argument against the person, red herring fallacy, strawman fallacy, hasty generalization, ad vericundum, ad populum, ad ignorantium. Okay. So that's it about inductive, deductive, and basics definitions, fallacies. Indian logic we already also have seen. Okay, so that's it for the day. So from tomorrow onwards, will come. We will focus on more multiple choice questions. We will start with Indian logic, then we can move to aptitude, reasoning, and then further to reading comprehension. Or before we can start with uh, data interpretation, then we can move into reading comprehension. Okay. So any questions? Any questions? We can continue, or we can wind the session for next 8 p.m. session. Any questions? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. So we can wind the session. Please join again 8 o'clock for paper 2, and also have some notes, computer network notes with you, so we can make it very fast. Okay. Thank you all. We'll join back at 8 o'clock. Thank you.